This is Duke University.
So you've heard the words already and the numbers, and there are staggering numbers. I mean, 1 million people without energy access at all, and further, 1 billion, and then a further 1 billion people who suffer from some type of energy poverty. So for GE, this is both an opportunity for us and an imperative, what we believe we need to do as a company. And the way we're working at this is we're looking at bringing disruptive technologies that are focused on taking some of the best technology that GE has already developed within our energy businesses and drawing that down and applying it to the rural electrification marketplace, and then using that in partnership with other companies, other utilities, governments, to build out a digital ecosystem that can really move the needle. Because face it, if we don't do something now, this problem isn't going to get any better by itself. And you cannot just leave it to NGOs, startup organizations, to try to solve this thing. We have to do it together, and we have to do it immediately. So this is part of GE's campaign around empowering everyone. And we are looking forward to partnering with people like yourselves as we go forward and really try to tackle this challenge. Now, the next few slides are pictures that were taken on a recent trip 2 weeks ago that I took to our pilot site in Bihar, India. And Bihar is a northern state of India. It's one of the poorest states. I think it is the poorest state in India. And we are piloting a new hybrid technology that my team has been leading the development on in order to try to see if we can bring a community microgrid that is differentiated than what is currently available in the marketplace today. Now, we believe microgrids are going to be the way that you can substantially scale in the developing world to help close this gap. And the reason for that is you can put in a microgrid, they can become standardized, they're modularized, and they can go into any part of the world. They can scale quickly as growth, demand growth and load growth take place at a community level. And most importantly, they can be interconnected to the grid when and if the grid is ever extended out. And that's very important, because remember, we cannot develop a system that is starving the local utility of access to their own customers. If we provide electricity into the rural marketplace and take that money that would otherwise be needed by the local utility to reinvest in their own infrastructure, we're not helping the process. So we feel very strongly that whatever we're going to put into place has to be available to grid interconnection from day one. Now, things are happening at a very, very local level, and something is better than nothing. In this case, an NGO gave out small pico solar lanterns in order to get rid of the scourge, and it is a scourge, of kerosene lamps. Kerosene lamps cause tremendous amount of devastation to human lives every single day in the developing world. They tip over, they can burn down a house, they can spill onto a child and scar them for life. So these are good things. But we need to ask ourselves, is it enough? Can an NGO that just, or through a local entrepreneur that is helping to facilitate the distribution of small pico type devices, really going to move the needle when you've got 1 billion plus people that you really need to provide electricity to? This community lives within eyeshot of the grid. The grid is approximately 2 kilometers away. They're never going to get on that grid because the state utility doesn't have enough funds to put in the necessary infrastructure in order to extend out the line. So therefore, you've got a real challenge that's taking place here. People take transportation to work, they're farmers, their kids walk to school. They understand what it is to be in energy poverty. They know what they want. They want something better than just lighting. And it's our job to figure out how to get that to them. So for GE, we're looking at 3 different ways that we're going to help facilitate that, and then 1 differentiator. So we build off of our existing technology, and we take our technology from our biggest energy-producing plants, steam, gas, combined cycle, renewables, and we've been pulling that together, shrinking it down, and applying it to a differentiated hybrid solution that prioritizes PV, has energy storage in the local batteries, and then does have a backup system, usually a fossil fuel system, in order to provide continuous, reliable power. Because again, if you're thinking about the outcome that you want your customers to enjoy, and that outcome is continuous, reliable power at an affordable price, you need to provide that continuously. Second, we're applying our own situation around emission controls and focusing very closely on being the most reliable way of putting PV as the first major source of electricity, and then making sure that the batteries and energy storage comes next. And then finally, digital, which is using our global Predix platform, which is the same platform, by the way, that many of the utilities that you saw up here earlier are already tapping into, by providing greater transparency into the operations of those individual sites in order for the owner-operator of that asset to be able to maximize the productivity of that site, whether it is making sure that it's creating the most amount of power possible or reducing down their OpEx by ensuring that they can see predictively whether or not anything is going wrong and they need to send somebody out. GE Ventures is privileged within GE in that we look for disruptive technologies and different business models. And so what we've been doing is combining the strength of our technology solutions with the new capabilities of disruptive digital business models to create a digital ecosystem that is going to bring together different players in the marketplace: government, equipment suppliers, startup organizations, and help to marshal that as a new digital platform to create a network and orchestration in order to solve this problem. The challenge that faces us all, and this is, we started out this morning with a quote from Einstein, which this is another quote that's frequently attributed to Einstein, that if you think that if insanity is defined as doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result, think about how often speakers after speakers have stood up on various stages like this, talking about rural electrification, energy poverty, 1 billion plus people, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and nothing changes. We're not doing anything different as far as impactful. So something's got to change. And for GE, we believe the way you drive change is by combining new technologies that are already proven in much simpler, modular, scalable packages that can be completely localized, working with different partners at a local level, and move with speed. We're committed to getting this done, and we believe that together, all of us are going to be able to achieve this. If you don't like that message, consider Professor Dworkin's message, which is there is a moral imperative for us to do this. And right now, none of us is even achieving what used to be called the gentleman's C in being able to say, yes, we are meeting this moral imperative. The technology is available. The financing is available. They're bright, very young, very energetic people raising their hand every single day who want to get things done. And even governments are willing to partner to help solve the problem. The challenge for us is just to bring it all together, orchestrate it, and get it done. Thank you. I turn it over to Selby.